I didn't record me taking the motor apart just because I originally wasn't going to document it, but I feel like it would be good to have. Maybe somebody else might have the same issue later on. So I basically separated the head from the block and took it out of the car. And I removed absolutely everything from the block side of it just because I had to get the block remachined, and they had to wash it and everything. So this is how I got the engine back from the machine shop. So as you guys can see, this was the main one that was messed up. So they basically resurfaced it, made it nice and smooth, and then did the side of the block as well. So I'm about to go ahead and install that last bearing. All these bearings are brand new from BMW. There's 3 different kinds of bearings that you can put on this block. The way you know what bearing to use is there's actually a code on the block right here. Let me see if I can focus in. All right, guys, so that's the code on the block. It's upside down right now, but it's BBABBAB. And that's the code that corresponds to the bearings that sit on the actual block. This is the chart I was actually given from BMW. It's good to know somebody that actually works there, so they were able to pull up my VIN number and actually kind of show me you know, what I needed to know as far as classifying the bearings. So this chart basically tells you what I just showed you guys. This is saying that on the block there's a code and each letter corresponds to each cylinder, and then this code is the code on the crankshaft, the bottom line numbers, and those correspond to each cylinder. So basically what you have to do is you have to jot down this code and this one, and you have to plug everything into these charts that it gives you. So I went ahead and did that already, and as you can see, it kind of tells you like classification 1, 2 is green, 3 is brown, and then it tells you which bearing goes on what seat. This one's all full of oil, but this is basically all the seats on the block. So I basically wrote the code down here because mine was BABBABB, and on the crankshaft all the codes were 2. So when I started doing this chart here, so for example B2 was B and then number 2, so that's classification green. So that one needed a green bearing, this one needed a blue bearing, green, green, blue, green, green. So that's basically how I was able to know which bearing went on the actual block and then which one went on the top side of the crankshaft, which was this here. And now the crankshaft was different because the new one is all 2s, but this is my old one. In the old one there was actually a 3 and then all 2s. So you just got to make sure if you get a new crankshaft you use the correct bearing based on the new crankshaft spec. And then for anyone that needs this is pretty much the instructions on how to read the codes and then how to use these charts. Ignore all my handwriting. I was just kind of writing the correct codes and the part numbers to the bearings that I needed. And then this is pretty much the same thing, but you guys should be able to figure it out. It was pretty easy. So mine was pretty much BBA. A was the number 1. You see the number right there? So like these are 2s, which are greens, and then number 1 is a blue bearing. So the A's was a 1. This one's gonna be a 2. I just haven't put it on yet. And then that's a 2. That's a 1 because that one was A as well. And then the last one was a 2, which is a green bearing. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this one. So that middle one was a number 2 as well. So this should pretty much just slide in there. And you heard it kind of like clip. So it clips on just like that. And then I'm gonna put either a little bit of oil or assembly lube on there, and then the crankshaft goes on. So I bought this liquid moly assembly lube. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of this on there. just a little bit works. You don't have to overdo it. And then just kind of put it on there. The rest of these I put oil on them, but I'll go ahead and put a little bit of this as well. All right, guys, so that's pretty much what the bearings look like. So now I'm on to the reassembly. For the reassembly, what I ended up doing was I ended up installing all of these oil shooters. They kind of just shoot oil into the piston, I guess. So I ended up installing all of those and installing all the rods with the pistons. I actually left one out that I'm going to show you guys how to do. So first, let me go ahead and rotate this little thing.
What are you doing, Kev?
All right, so for BMW, you have to align these piston rings in a certain orientation. I'll put it up on the screen exactly how you have to do it. So I'm just gonna do that real quick, and then we're gonna use the compression tool Devin has in his hands, and we're gonna compress these rings and slide it inside of the cylinder. All right, guys, so these repair instructions right here kind of show how the piston rings should be aligned. So when you're holding the piston with the head pointed up, the top ring is called K1, middle ring's K2, and then the oil ring has 3 different rings inside of it. The one closest to the bottom is O1, the middle one's O2, and the top one's O3. And this kind of shows a diagram of 1, 3, and 2, and it shows you what position they're referring to. So like right here, 1, if you're holding the piston towards you, is 12 o'clock, 2 is 4 o'clock, 3 is 8 o'clock. And then this is just telling you which ring is which. So right here pretty much tells you K1, 2, O1, O2, and O3, what alignment position you got to put it in. So I'm going to go ahead and I did all of them already. I'm just going to show you guys how to do just the last one. All right, there we go. All right, so now we're gonna put this compression tool and we're gonna ratchet it tight. Pause. Got the building switch out. And before we slide this in there, we just want to put a little bit of oil on the cylinder wall. All right. That doesn't look like it's set up. Not tripping. It doesn't look like that, right?
Yeah, it's oval, so.
Okay. Boom, just like that. All right, guys, so check it out. So as soon as we pushed it in, it just sits in there, and with the force of the rings, it kind of just holds itself inside of the cylinder wall. So for the G82, there's actually a little arrow right there. Kind of hard to see, but it's underneath that square, and basically all the arrows have to point towards cylinder 1, and that's how you know you have them in there properly. All right, guys, so I went ahead and I just rotated the motor the other way. So now that all the pistons are in, we're just gonna go ahead and install all of these oil spray nozzles that are missing. So in the top part, the ones with the little circle in the middle, and then in the bottom ones, those just take the ones with no circle in the middle. And these, they get torqued to 8 Newton meters. So we're gonna go ahead and do that real quick. All right, so now that all the oil spray nozzles are in and torqued, we're gonna go ahead and lay the crankshaft on. Well, actually, first we gotta put our rod bearings in, put a little bit of assembly lube on it, and then lay our crankshaft, and then put all the hats and torque it. So these are rod bearings, and as you can see, this one has like a blue little mark right here. So I want to say the blue one goes on the actual rod seat itself, and then I have another one that's red, and that one goes on the hat. I have repair instructions here. Let me just double check. Yeah, so the blue one goes on the piston, and then the red one goes on the rod bearing cap. So I'm gonna grab some assembly lube, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put this one in on the actual rod. And these should pretty much just kind of clip in place. All right, now that that's in there, I'm just gonna go ahead and put a little bit of assembly lube on the bearings. All right, guys, so this is pretty much what it looks like. Basically what I did was I installed new bearings on all the cylinder grooves, and then new bearings on all the rods. And now I got the other half that are going to go on all the caps on top and on the rod caps as well. So now pretty much we just got to go ahead and put the crankshaft on and then start assembling all the caps and torquing everything. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it for this video. Just kind of showing you guys what I've done so far. From this point forward, I'm going to document pretty much everything, so you guys can see how I did it. The disassembly, like I said, it's not too bad. It does take a lot to pull the motor and the transmission, but if you know what you're doing, or even if you don't, you can kind of just figure it out as far as just removing everything. Thank you guys for watching.